Before we start, I need to say something from the get-go. If you're doing less than 100 grand a month right now whilst you're watching this video, well, essentially this video probably isn't for you yet. Not because I don't want to help you in any way. I do. I want to help as many people as possible, but I've got other videos for that. But because you don't have a show rate problem. You actually have a volume problem right at this point in time. You need more leads essentially before show rate even matters to you. Now, go watch my stuff on client acquisition first, get some volume in your funnel, and then come back to this video and bulk market, whatever you need to do. Same thing if you're spending less than 30 grand a month on ads, you're not at the scale where this becomes a real issue yet. And if it is, then welcome to this video, but I'm telling you, probably not. But if you're actually running some real numbers, let's say you're booking 300, 500, 700 calls every single month, and you're literally watching a huge chunk of those just like disappear off the face of the earth. Let's say people book and then they ghost you, then this video is going to be worth a lot of money to you. Genuinely a lot of money, because what I'm about to show you, I would say took me years to figure out. I made every single mistake. I've sat across from business owners who were spending 100 to 150 grand a month on ads and had no idea that their show rate was the very thing killing them. Not the ads, not the funnel, not the offer, the fucking show rate. Now here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest with you at certain points in this video, and like truly honest, I don't hold back. Some of it might sting a little, and not because I'm trying to be a dick, I just wanna be clear about that, but because I've seen this so many times, and I know where the real problems usually sit and where they are. And most of the time, right, it's not where you think it is. So if you're ready to actually fix this thing, like once and for all, stick around, I'm gonna give you everything, like I mean everything, to fix your show rate. So let's get into it. All right, let me show you something, okay? Most of you, and here's what I would say most people's process would actually look like, is we go from an ad to then a click, to then an application, to a booked call, and then there's this gap. You see this gap here between when someone books and when the call actually happens, and I call this essentially the dead zone. And for most businesses, I'd say around 90% of the ones that I've looked at, it's a lot, almost nothing happens in here. Maybe a little automated Canly confirmation, maybe a little reminder email that I've set up from a nurture sequence that I've learned online, and that's it. Now, let me ask you something, like genuine. What do you think your lead is doing during this time? Like, actually think about it. They booked a call on Monday, and the call's on Thursday. What's happening in their life between Monday and Thursday? Well, in your head, it's like the only thing they care about is you. Well, no, they're getting pulled into work stuff. Their inbox is exploding with shit. They saw 3 other ads of 3 other companies offering similar things because Meta served them that. They talked to their business partner and said like, oh, I don't know, this just sounds like another course, man. Maybe we should skip the call. Their kid got sick. They had a bad sales call with another company, and now they're skeptical of everyone and they don't want to get on a call. And somewhere in the middle of all of that chaos and mess from Monday to Thursday, they're supposed to remember that they booked a call with you, and then actually show up and actually be excited about it. I'm telling you now, it's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen reliably anyway. So here's the truth, and this is the important thing to understand. The moment someone books a call, their interest level starts decaying, and I've got it laid out on a graph here for you. Now, right here, the moment of the booking, that's peak interest. They've just took action and they're curious, right? They saw something in your funnel that made them think, yeah, I actually want to talk to these people. They look good. But every hour that passes by, that interest drops a little and a little bit more. And if you do nothing, if the dead zone here is empty, by the time Thursday comes around, well, essentially they've completely forgotten why they cared in the first place. They've seen 10 other ads, they've talked to 3 other companies, and actually they've convinced themselves that they can like figure it out on their own, okay? And you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs on Zoom, sitting there thinking, I wonder why 40% of my book calls haven't showed up and actually haven't happened. Here's where it gets worse, and this is the part that's gonna sting you a little bit. I know who you're gonna blame when the business has a shit show rate. And essentially, I don't blame the media buyer. I know that that's an easy target, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the leads are bad. Oh, the targeting must be off. Oh, we're attracting the wrong people. And look, sometimes That's true. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend the media buyer doesn't matter, and it does, because it really does. And I've got a whole video on diagnosing ad performance if you want to get into that and figure that bit out. But in my experience, 80% of the time, genuinely 80% of the time, the show rate problem is not the ads. It's what happens after the ads. It's the system, or more accurately, the lack of a system. It's having your setter do a confirmation follow-up 1 week before, then you decided, oh, actually the closers should do it next week, and then nobody does it because everybody's now too fucking busy. It's your setter booking the call and then immediately moving on to the next lead with zero hype, leaving them with zero anticipation, zero, like, holy shit, this call is going to be valuable, I need to attend moment. It's not having a real process for keeping people engaged between the booking and the call. That's not a lead quality problem. That's a systems problem. And a systems problem, well, that's your responsibility as an operator or business owner, to be quite frank. And the good news about this is systems problems are actually fixable. And that's what the rest of this video is all about. All right, so let me show you the solution. This is what I call the show rate stack. There's 7 layers to this, okay? And what I found is most businesses are doing maybe 1 or maybe 2 of them, and usually doing those 1 or 2 pretty half-assed as well. So here's the full stack. Now, layer 7, we're going backwards here, is time optimization. Layer 6 is personal outreach. Layer 5 is SMS sequences. Layer 4 is email sequences. Layer 3 is pre-call authority videos. Layer 2 is confirmation page. And then finally is the confirmation specialist. And this is the foundation. Now, I've got this in a specific order for a reason, and I'm going to go through each one in detail, but I want to start at the foundation here. Okay, and this is the confirmation specialist because it's the very thing that makes everything else here actually work, and it's the thing that most people get wrong, and it's the thing that most people don't have. And actually, just let me rephrase that a little bit better. It's not that they get it wrong, it's that they don't even do it at all because they think that they can't afford it, or this is a waste of money, or they think that the setter can handle it, or they think it's not important enough to be its own role. And I get it. I used to think the same thing. Okay, hiring feels like a risk, another salary on the books, another like ramp up that you need to do. What happens if it doesn't work out? Like all these things that go through your head, I know. But let me show you why this is probably the highest ROI hire that you'll make in your entire business. Okay, let me ask you a question. When someone books a call with your company currently, who is responsible for making sure that they actually show up? Whose job is that? Like who wakes up in the morning, goes and thinks, my job today is to get book calls to become showed calls? For most businesses, the answer is nobody. Or the answer could be everybody, which really means nobody. It's kind of the setter's job this week, and then it's kind of the closer's job because we changed it, and it's kind of automated, and it's kind of whoever has the time, and that's why show rates are shit. Because nobody owns it. Now here's what usually happens. Business owners looks at their team and then tries to bolt this responsibility onto an existing role. Now option 1 that people normally throw it onto is just give it to the setter, and they think, oh well, they have a meeting, they'll say, oh hey, like you're already talking to these leads, so just follow up with them before the calls too. Option 2 I've seen is they give it to the closer. Oh, you got time between calls, man. Like use it to warm up your upcoming appointments. Like both of these seem logical to you, but both of these are terrible ideas, and let me explain to you why. Because you have a setter problem, and the setter problem is productivity loss. Your setter's job is to set appointments. That's what you hired them for, right? That's what they're good at. And every minute that they spend following up with people who are already booked is a minute that they're now not calling new leads. Think about the math for a second. If your setter can book 8 calls, okay, a day when they're focused, but now they're also doing confirmation, like follow-ups, they might only book 4 to 5, maybe like 4, let's say. You just cut your book calls by 40, 50%, and your cost per book call is nearly doubled. And for what? Like, it's just silly. But here's the thing that nobody really talks about, and this is incentives. Was how is your setter paid? Well, commission per call booked, right? Maybe £25, £50 per booking, depending on your model. Maybe you're doing it on a percentage of the sale. So what do you actually care about? Booking the next call, not warming up the last one, essentially, right? If you're choosing between calling a fresh lead, which they get paid for, or they're getting KPI'd on, or texting someone who already is booked, which they get nothing extra for sometimes, what are they gonna do? They're gonna do the bare minimum on confirmation and focus on what makes them money and cash. And honestly, I don't blame them. I'd do exactly the same thing, and if you were a setter in that scenario, you would do the same thing. The incentive structure is broken, and you're essentially asking them to do something that actively hurts their income. This isn't criticism for your setter, by the way. It's a criticism of the structure that you've probably got in place. You've set them up to fail at their task. And I see it all the time where people are like giving them KPIs to hit 100 dials, and then you've got them doing like confirming calls and shit. And actually, you know what? While we're here, while we're on setters, let me just hit you with something real quick, because this actually drives me insane and I see it constantly. Even if you're not having your setter do confirmation follow-up, even if they're just setting and that's their only job, there's probably still something that they're doing that's killing your show rate. And it's happening before the dead zone even starts, right? No, and I'm telling you, it's the script. What they're actually saying on the qualification call. Now, I had a client that was maybe 4 to 5 months ago doing around 350K a month. And if I remember correctly, the show rate was stuck around 45%. Actually, I've got it on screen. They tried everything. Better ads, different audiences, new email sequences, and nothing moved the needle. So I asked to listen to some of their setters calls, because this is what we do here. And look, the setters was fine. She was doing her job properly, asking the right questions, qualifying properly, like getting people booked on. She was doing everything right. But here's what the call sounded like. It was like, oh, okay, like, great, so based on what you've told me, you'd be a really good fit, man. Like, just let me get you booked in with our team. How's Thursday at like 2 p.m. work for you? Perfect. Okay, yeah, you'll get a calendar invite and then you'll speak to somebody and then we'll talk then. And that was it. Call over, next lead. Because she was KPI'd on calling as many calls as possible. Do you see what's missing here? There is no hype. There is no excitement. There is no reason for that lead to give a shit about Thursday. So what do? They hang up that call and they feel nothing. No like desire to get on that call. Oh, I'm booked for Thursday. Cool. Like, it's somewhere on the calendar. I'll sort that out in a minute. People don't show up to calls because they don't trust you. They don't believe. Not really, not like deep down that that you can solve their problem. And your setter just had 10 to 15 minutes with them on the phone. Like a real human, a real conversation just happened. And guess what? They did nothing to build that trust. Nothing to create anticipation. Nothing to make the lead think, I can't miss this call. Like, this is like gonna change my life or change my business. They didn't ask how much do they actually know about us. They didn't talk about who the lead is about to speak with. No credentials, no results, no reasons why the closer is worth an hour of their time. Just, oh, you qualify, here's your booking link, and then like, bye. Like, we changed this with this client, okay? And we added 2 minutes to the end of the setter script. Nothing crazy, okay? Just positioning who they're about to talk to, giving the lead a real reason, a real handoff to be excited to speak to the next person. The show rate went from that 45% to 56% in the first month. It's 11 points, right? From changing what the setter says in the last 2 minutes of the goddamn call. Now, I could go down a whole rabbit hole on setter scripts. I'll probably do a full video on that at some point. The point I'm getting is if your setter is just qualifying and booking without building any hype or anticipation, you're starting the dead zone in a hole. You're already behind before the follow-up even begins. Anyway, that's the setters piece. Now, let me tell you why having your closer do confirmation is even worse. The closer problem, this is the one I see constantly, and it actually frustrates me a little bit because it's such an obvious mistake once you see it. Some business owners, usually the ones trying to be what I call like lean or scrappy or stingy or whatever they want to call it. I call it being cheap, okay? They look at their clothes and they say, oh, you've got gaps between your calls, man. Like, you should just use that time to text your upcoming appointments, build some rapport with them, warm them up a bit. Let me show you why this is absolutely insane and ridiculous. Your closer, if they're any good, is probably actually the highest paid team member. Once you factor in base and commission, their earnings could be anywhere from 100 to 150 to 200K a year. And that means that effectively their hourly rate is somewhere around 50 to 100 pounds or dollars, maybe even more. And when you're gonna have them now spend 2 hours of their day texting, hey, just checking in about our call tomorrow. Like, what is going on? Now, let me just put a closer's value on the cards here for you. So you can really just see this with some tangible numbers, because some of you might not still get this. They are effectively worth about 75 to 100 an hour, okay? Confirmation follow-up is essentially 12 to 15 pound an hour task. And every hour that they're doing follow-up instead of closing, you're losing around 60 to 85 pounds in potential value. But actually it's worse than that, because now your closer is context switching all day. They're trying to get locked in for a sales call, which actually does require a lot of focus and energy and presence. And if you haven't done one in a while, you should probably go and do a whole day of closing. And then they're now doing admin. And then they're back to a call, and then more admin. Their head is all over the place. It's in 3 different places at once. Their energy is now scattered, and their close rate suffers because they're never fully dialed in. So what I'm saying is, you're probably paying $100 to $100 an hour for someone to do a $15 an hour work, and you're making them worse at the actual thing that makes you money. That's not being smart with your resources. That's what we call being penny wise and pound foolish in the UK. Now, I had a client roughly around 6 to 7 months ago doing about 380k a month. Okay, decent operation, 2 closers. And when I looked at what was happening, both closers were spending almost 2 hours per day doing confirmation follow-up, sending text reminders and trying to warm people up for 4 hours. That's 4 hours of closer time per day on follow-up to get them to show. And their show rate was still only 41%. It wasn't even fucking working. So I did the maths with them. Those closers were actually generating around 350 to 400 pounds per hour when they were actually closing. 4 hours times 400 pound, that's 1,600 pounds per day that they were not generating because they were doing the wrong task. Now times that by 20 working days, that's roughly 32,000 pound a month in effective lost productivity. And their show rate was still terrible. So when we fixed this, when we got those closers just focused only on closing and brought someone in dedicated to confirmation, guess what happened? The show rate went from 41% to 73% in 6 weeks. The close rate, funnily enough, went up too because the closers were actually focused and then they had more calls on their calendar that were showing up. The total revenue impact was around £200,000 per month for this client from one structural change. The solution I'm getting at here is what I'm saying is a confirmation specialist. Okay, so what's the actual fix here? Well, essentially, you just hire a dedicated confirmation specialist. This is a role whose entire job, their whole reason for existing in your company is to own the dead zone that I mentioned at the start. Everything between the call booked and when the call happens. So what do? Well, they do personal outreach to every single new booking. They do a selfie video for high value leads. They answer pre-call questions. They send relevant content per lead based on the lead situation, okay? And then they monitor engagement versus going cold. They re-engage with non-responders who haven't, of course, responded. And then day of confirmation messages and flag at-risk appointments to the sales team. This is all they do. They don't set, they don't close, they don't do random admin. They do one job, one focus, one outcome. Get people to show up to the calls. So, how do we pay them? Well, here's the comp structure that works. And essentially, this can be in dollars, this is in pounds, but you just put this in dollars, it's fine. This is a base heavy role. It's not commission heavy. You want essentially consistency and reliability. You don't want them stressed about making commission and making money. You want them focused on the process. But their bonus is still tied entirely to the show rate. So we still KPI them and bonus them on the right thing. Now, at the end of the month, if it's below 60% show rate, they get $0 or £0 bonus. If it's 60% to 70, they get 400. If it's 70, they get 800. If it's plus 80%, they get $1,200 or pounds or whatever it may be. See what this does? Like, actually look at this now. Their entire bonus is aligned with the outcome that you actually want from them. They don't get paid for setting calls because that's the setter's job. And they don't get paid for closing deals because, funny enough, that's the closer's job. They get paid for one thing. And essentially that one thing is making book calls show on calls. Okay? It's that simple. When you align compensation with outcome, well then you get behavior that you want from the person. Now this person wakes up every day thinking about show rate. They become obsessed with it. They're testing different outreach methods and different messages. They start figuring out and get a real good tact for which videos work best for certain leads, identifying patterns in who no-shows. They become an absolute specialist on it, an expert essentially at the thing that's been leaking money from your business. All right, so let's look at actually what this hire is actually worth to the business. Now, what I want you to do is look on screen right now, because this is a really easy way to help you understand it. So 400 book calls a month, 50% show rate, 200 showed. That's a 25% close rate on these deals. That's 50 deals, and that's an average AOV of 7,500, which equates to around £375,000 per month or dollars per month in this situation. Now, 400 calls booked a month at 70% show rate. Okay, 280 showed. Okay, and some of you might be looking at that and thinking, well, that's still good. Like, that's still a good month. Yeah, but it's nothing special, is my point I'm getting at. Now, after, with a confirmation specialist, okay, you do your 400 calls, still the same, but now you have a 70% show rate. 280 then showed. Still close rate is at 25%. You've now done 70 deals at 7,500, which now equates to £525,000 a month. See, the difference is 150,000 and the cost to hire was about 4 to 5k, but the ROI is 30x. So you're paying someone 5k to generate an extra 150k every single month. And that's on the same 400 calls. So let's say you're on 600 calls a month. Well, the math is even more ridiculous. At 600 calls a month, okay, before it's a 450,000 a month. Now after, it's a 787,500 pounds or dollars a month. See, the difference here is now 337,500, and that will equate to about roughly a millionaire. Look, I know hiring feels like a risk. It's another person on the payroll. What happens if it doesn't work? But when the maths is this clear, it's not really a risk. It's an investment with around about a 30x return on investment. Like, the risk is not making this hire and continuing to leave that 150, 200, 330 on the table every single month. And I get that it can feel uncomfortable. And when I first started recommending this to clients, some of them push back hard, like, oh, I can get my setters to do this. Do I really need a whole person for this? Is another person to manage? And what I do is I just walk them exactly what I just walked you through. The math. Okay, the incentive problems, the opportunity cost. And most of them then made the hire within a month and actually listen. And most of them, funny enough, come back saying it was one of the best decisions that they've made within their business. So essentially, the next question is, when do you need to hire this person? Okay, when do you actually need this? So here's my general threshold. Under 100 calls per month, you probably need a VA, okay? They can handle it. There's not enough volume to justify the dedicated headcount, I'll be honest. Now, if you're at 100 to 300 calls a month, you need at least a part-time person on this or a well-trained VA who does nothing else. Now, 300 plus calls a month, that's a full-time confirmation specialist at this point. It's a non-negotiable. And at this volume, you're spending serious money on ads. You have a serious, good acquisition, and have a dedicated person to convert those leads is just basic maths now. You've seen what I've done already in this video. So if you want to go deeper actually on how to hire this role, the job description, the interview questions, the training process to ramp this person up, how we track them, how we KPI them, I'll probably make a separate video on that, and I'll probably link it around this video when that's ready. But just subscribe to the channel for now. But I am pretty sure this video is already going to be long enough without me going into complete hiring playbooks and all the granular detail. I'm just conscious of time, all right? So that's layer one, the foundation, the person who owns what we have called now the dead zone. Now, let me show you what they actually do. Okay, the system that they run. Your confirmation specialist is in place now. Now, what are they working with? Well, let's talk about your confirmation page. And I'm going to guess that your current confirmation page says something along the lines of thanks for booking. We look forward to speaking with you on this day. Look out for an email, look out for this. And maybe there's a calendar invite. Maybe the Zoom link has been sent to them and that's it. I'm telling you now, that's not a confirmation page. That's what we call a receipt. Receipts don't build excitement, okay? They don't maintain interest. They don't make someone think, you know what? I can't wait for this call. I'm not gonna miss it. I wouldn't even miss it. I'd rather miss my child's birth, okay? Here's what your confirmation page should actually have. One, it should have a video from you or the closer, around 2 to 3 minutes. And this is where you thank them for booking. Make them feel good about the decision. And then the second thing is you wanna tell them exactly what will happen on the call, so you can remove all uncertainty and give them something to think about beforehand. The thing is, you then want to build anticipation. So this one video essentially can add about 5 to 10% to your show rate by itself if you get this one video right. Because now you're not faceless. You're actually got a person, real people that they can see and they've seen already and they've hired before their actual call. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story because I had this client who resisted doing this video for weeks, and he's a bit camera shy, he didn't want to like put himself out there. It was actually like a faceless YouTube offer, and he kept saying the sales team can handle it on the call. Finally, like, I got them to do it. Nothing fancy, just him at his desk. We actually got some closers to do it as well, talking naturally about what the call would cover. Maybe 2.5 minutes it was, this video, and his show rate went up by 8% in just the first 2 weeks. Just from that alone, right? No other changes. 8% doesn't sound like a lot until you do the math. At his volume, that was an extra 12 showed calls a month, 3 or 4 extra deals, which is around 30K a month extra. Just from a 2-minute video he filmed on his iPhone that was well scripted and hit some psychological points. Now, number 2 is pre-call homework. It's essentially give them something to do, man. Like before the call, write down your top 3 challenges. Put your numbers from last month in this calculator. Think about where you want to be in 90 days and really think about it because we need to bring that to the call. 2 reasons this actually works is first, they're now invested. They've done work. They don't want to waste that work by not showing up. The second is the call itself is better. They show up prepared. Your closer can actually get into the real conversation and substance a lot faster instead of spending 15 minutes trying to understand their situation. And number 3 is social proof. 2 or 3 quick testimonials from people like them. Like essentially, we went from 200K to 500K months in 90 days. This essentially reinforces the call is worth their time. Other people in their situation got results. Here's what you can see, right? Now, what not to expect. This is essentially like super subtle, but it matters. This isn't a high pressure sales pitch. If we're not fit, we'll tell you. No one's going to twist your arm, like all these things. A lot of people will ghost because they're dreading that it's going to be a pushy sales call, maybe from experience, right? When you take that fear off the table, they're more likely to actually show up. Now, let me tell you about something that completely changed how I think about like show rate and also close rate. That's why I nearly said close rate and sales in general, right? Pre-call authority videos. About a year ago, I was working with a coaching business. Good offer, really decent ads, but the sales team was constantly frustrated. The thing that we used to hear are the leads don't know anything. They just show up asking basic questions. Half the call is like, I've got to educate them and we're not selling, we're not closing. You've probably heard one of your team members or one of your closers say something similar. So I asked them, I was like, well, what are the questions that keep coming up? What do people not understand when they show up? Essentially, they then gave me like 23 specific questions. We listed them all out. Everything from like, how is this different from X competitor to what if I don't have time to implement this to why does it cost what it costs? And so we did something essentially super simple. The founder spent one afternoon, about 4 hours, filming short videos answering each one of these questions. It's around 2 to 5 minute videos each, just him talking to camera, giving super honest answers. And then we just put these videos on the confirmation page. And then we link them in the email sequence. And the confirmation specialist, well, the one that we hired for them, would send specific ones based on what the lead mentioned in their application and what they mentioned potentially on the call. Now, show rate went from 51% to 69%. And also, close rate went up 18%. By 18 to 31%, sorry. So sales cycle shortened because there was less explaining on the call. An average deal size also went up because they're getting more educated buyers, which were then buying bigger packages. The sales team went from like complaining about a lead quality to saying, these people show up pretty ready to buy. Just remember, like your leads aren't stupid. They just don't have enough information that they need to feel confident about the call or even dropping some money with your closer. Give it to them beforehand. Answer the questions they're already thinking about and want addressing. And also when you do it there and then, it's like when they book, so they're more excited about it. Address their concerns they haven't voiced yet and do it once. Film these videos once, and I tell you now, they will work for you forever. Every single lead benefits. That's the leverage here. Talk to your sales teams this week. Ask like 10 to 20 questions that keep coming up. And even better, like you can use AI now just to scan all your sales calls and pick them out. So like, what do you have to explain over and over? Write them down. Film a video for each one, 2 to 5 minutes. phone quality is absolutely fine here. It doesn't have to be insanely professional. That library of videos is actually worth more than most marketing assets that you'll ever create. All right, so let me walk you through the outreach layers. This is where I would say your confirmation specialist spends most of their time. See, most businesses send about one email after someone books, like, oh, you've confirmed your call, like that sort of email. That's not a sequence. That's a receipt. Again, we've established receipts don't help here when we just spoke about the landing page. Here's what a real email sequence looks like for someone doing this. So on the day of the booking, essentially we have a confirmation email with logistics, which is what to expect, email with like link to the confirmation page, pre-call authority video relevant to their application. Then on day one, what we do is we send value email and insight about their situation. And then we do another pre-call authority video again. Then day two is we send a reminder email and essentially what to have ready for the call dialogue and a testimonial from someone similar. It's super specific. This can't really be automated in that way. Then finally, the day of is we send like a looking forward to speaking to you WhatsApp, iMessage, idealistically iMessage, especially if you're in the US. And then 1 hour before we send a final reminder with a link. And then we also do it 5 to 15 minutes before also. This is a bit like of a shortened version of what we actually do, but this is exactly what you need to get going. Every touch point should make them more excited about the call and not annoyed by the nagging that you're doing. Essentially, if all you're doing and saying is, don't forget about the call 5 times, here's a reminder, they're gonna tune out, they're gonna get pissed off, okay? Or they're gonna get both. But if each email gives them something useful, a video that addresses their concern, an insight that they hadn't considered, proof that this actually works, they will stay engaged. Now, simultaneously to this, also just a quick stat for you, like email open rates are around 20 to 30%, but the open rate on an SMS can be around 90%. So you need to be using SMS also. So if it's your SMS, immediately after the booking, just say something like, hey, John, like you've confirmed this date and time, I'm looking forward to it. And then you put the confirmation specialist name, super personal, from a real human, and then not the team X is got to do this. None of that shit. 24 hours before, quick reminder saying like, oh, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I mentioned you spoke about this on the phone. I'm getting that ready for you. Okay? Just reply if you'll be there. Okay? That reply yes, you'll be there does something psychological to the prospect. When someone types out yes or I will attend and hit send, they've actually made a small commitment. They've said that they'd be there now and they've put it in writing and it holds them accountable subconsciously. People are significantly more likely to follow through on commitments they've explicitly made out into the world. It also gives you a signal. If they don't reply, your confirmation specialist knows that they need to escalate. Maybe a phone call or a voice note or something like that. Then 1 hour before, see you in an hour, here's the link, and it's super simple, easy, just removes friction and just helps the prospect like get the link quicker and they can do it from their phone. Now, this is the thing that I would say that separates good from great on this. And it's why having a dedicated confirmation specialist matters so much, because this takes real time and attention. After someone books, you reach out personally, like not automation, not a bot, a real human who's looked at their application. That is so important. Now, I'll give you an example of a message. It'd be like, hey John, like saw you just booked a call on this day. I'm Jessica and I'll be helping prepare for your conversation with closer's name. I've just looked at your application. It sounds like you're dealing with like this specific problem or thing that they've mentioned in the application. And then they should say something like, that's exactly what we help with. Any questions before the call? Happy to send some resources over for you. That's it. It's so simple, but personal and relevant to their specific situation. And what happens is when they reply, now they've had a human interaction with your company. They're not showing up to some like faceless business. There's actually personality behind it. They'd feel like an asshole essentially ghosting someone who just took the time to send them something so thoughtful and personalized. Now, here's the thing that gets the highest response rate of anything that we've tested, and that is selfie videos. Your confirmation specialist films a 30-second video on their phone and then sends it to the lead. They say like, hey Sarah, it's James, just saw you booked a call with us and I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, Mike. I looked at your application. It seems like the main thing you're trying to solve is this specific challenge, and that's literally exactly what we do, Mike. Any questions before Thursday, just reply to this message. Hopefully we'll talk soon, and then that's it. It's literally 30 seconds to record, and it completely changes the dynamic. They've seen a real face. They've heard a real voice. Someone actually looked at their application. They feel seen. You got to remember, like, lots of people in the world don't feel seen at their job, their wife, their family, their partner, whatever it is. So you need to make sure that they feel seen, because it's a genuine feeling that a lot of people lack. And when they feel seen, they feel more encouraged to show up. The show rate on leads who receive a personal video is legitimately double the show rate on leads who just get like this automated messages. I'm not exaggerating here. We've tested this across multiple clients. This is why you need a dedicated person on this, because doing this for every lead will take time. Your setter won't do it. They're focused on booking calls. Your closer won't do it because they're focused on closing deals. But your confirmation specialist, this is their craft. This is the thing that they focus on. Now, the last layer, a quick one, but it actually does matter, is when you book calls matters more than you think. Now, a common mistake that I see, if your leads essentially work 9 to 5 jobs and you're in like a B2C play and your calendar only has slots from 9 to 5, well, when are they supposed to talk to you? Like, they book a 2 p.m. Tuesday thinking they'll make it work. Tuesday comes, they're then slammed with meetings at their job, and then they ghost. Best times for show rate that we've found is early morning 7 to 8 before the chaos starts, and then lunch around 12 till 1 if they have flexibility, or essentially after work when they're actually done with their day. Now, Saturday mornings, funnily enough, these absolutely crush. Saturday morning calls have the highest show rate of any time slot that we've tested. This is essentially because people aren't working. They're not distracted. They can actually focus. And if you're not offering Saturdays, well, you're essentially leaving so much money on the table. The next thing is booking window, and it really does matter. The longer the gap between booking and the call, well, you've seen it with the decay, the more the interest decays. 4+ days out is a lower show rate. The same day, next day has the highest show rate, essentially is what we found. Some of you might know this already, but I just want to say, like, just strike while they're hot. Get people on calls as fast as possible. If they're booked too far out, get somebody to triage and bring them closer, okay? Essentially, this is what you want to be doing. All right, let me show you what the complete system looks like, because we've just covered a lot, but immediately after the booking, they should get confirmation page loads up with essentially the video, the homework, and social proof. Then they get an email plus SMS confirmation, and the specialist then gets notified in your CRM. Within 2 hours, the specialist sends a personalized text. Okay, for high value leads, they can send a selfie video for context. Now, day 1, if this was booked out, value email with pre-call authority video. The specialist then follows up if there is no reply. Then day 2, okay, reminder email goes out, SMS reply yes to confirm, and then phone call if needed if there is no response, essentially, still from the confirmation seller. Then day 3 is final email with link, 1 hour SMS reminder, and then the specialist confirms attendance. And then the call happens. The dead zone isn't empty anymore. It's filled with value, personal connection, and a strategic touch point all the way through your system. And if you have a dedicated person whose whole job is making this work, the full math will look something along like this. So let me show you what this really looks like at scale. Well, essentially, before you had 600 calls booked, 40% show rate. That's 240 show up. 60 essentially close at 25%, 7,500. That works out £450,000 or dollars. Now, after, if you improve that show rate to 70%, you get 70% show rate, 420 showed, 105 closed because of it, with the same AOV, and essentially £787,500 a month. Like I said, that is a difference of £337,000 per month. That's $4 million a year. Essentially, with the same leads and the same ad spend, the same offer, the same closers. The only difference is what happens between the booking and the call. Now, you want to probably know the roadmap. Essentially, a confirmation specialist is going to cost you about $50K a year. Extra software costs is another $6K a year. Setup time, maybe about 20 hours once in the CRM, and a total cost of about $60K a year for a net gain of nearly $4 million. It's like ridiculous when you put the maths to it. And I'm not showing you this math to hype you up. I'm showing you because I want you to understand the scale of what you might be leaving on the table right now before even watching this video. If your show rate is 40 to 50% and you're running any kind of volume, you're probably losing more money to no-shows than you spend on ads. And it's fixable. This is the one thing, And this isn't some complicated strategy that requires like a massive team or complete business overhaul. It's one hire, one system, executed consistently. All right, let me give you some context and some concrete next steps. You don't have to do everything at once here. Start where you are. But this week, essentially, check your actual show rates and get the real number. A lot of people don't even know their real numbers, but pull the data from the last month, call booked versus calls that actually happen. Get the real number, make it tangible. Then I want you to audit your confirmation page. Go look at what it looks like right now. Is there a video? Is there homework? Is there those videos? Is there proof? Or is it just a thank you page? Then I want you to be listening to your set of calls. Are they just qualifying and booking, or are they actually building anticipation for who the lead is about to talk to? Then I want you to talk to your sales team and get AI and scrape your calls as well. Ask them questions, what keeps coming up, what objections they hear, what people don't understand when they show up, and just write them down. 10 to 20 of those. Then you want to do, as a final thing, is start personal outreach. Even if it's just you or someone on the team for the next 2 weeks, but it has to be separated from the closers and the setters. Personally text every lead a couple of hours before the booking. See what happens. I bet show rate goes up massively. And within 30 days, these are two things. You want to be filming the pre-authority videos, 2 to 3 minutes long. Answer each of those questions on camera in those videos. And then you want to build out your email and SMS sequences. And it doesn't have to be fancy, just more touch points, but with actual value instead of just sending reminders, oh, the call's coming up. And then within 60 days, evaluate a confirmation specialist hire. If you have 300 plus calls, below 60% show rate, do the math. A 50K a year hire that generates £1 million in additional revenue is a no-brainer. It quite literally is a no-brainer. And I've got more detailed breakdowns on some of these pieces that we've spoken about here. I'm conscious this is going to be a long video anyway. The exact email templates, how to structure pre-call authority videos, set of scripts, hiring for this role. Essentially, if you're interested in all that, there'll be a link below this with a calendar. Do not book if you're not doing enough volume. Don't waste your time. Don't waste our time, essentially. But essentially, everything will be covered on a call, and I can help you with a bit more specificness around all of this and whether or not you actually want to work with us potentially. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is a complete guide on actually how to improve show rates from 20% all the way to 80, 90% in one complete video for you with no bullshit. Hopefully you enjoy it, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, and go out and make some cash, man.